Hello and welcome to this video where I'll be sharing a walk that I did around Edale in the Peak District, covering the Great Ridge and the southern side of Kinder Scout. After parking up, I soon encountered the old Mam Tor road, which is a really interesting feature. From here it was up to the Great Ridge and along to Lewes Hill at its eastern end. After heading into the valley it was back up the other side towards Kinder Scout. After lunch at Madwoman's Stones, I walked along the edge of the plateau all the way to the western end, and then returned to the start point via Brown Knoll and Lord's Seat. So this old road that I'm walking down now is the old Mam Tor road, which I think used to be the main route up from the town down there up to the top and over into Edale. But as you can see, it's no longer in use. I think they tried to keep it open for a while, sort of trying to shore it up and repair bits of damage, but in the end it was just impossible. The ground was just too unstable here. Anyway, it is amazing just how much sort of tarmac there is around and how much things must have moved. Sort of odd, you wouldn't think looking at the hillside that it could move that much in such a short amount of time, but obviously it can. Great seeing the sort of strata of different layers and how it was built up. So there's clearly this lower level of road with the base and then the tarmac, and then they've given up on that and put another level of aggregate on top and tarmacked that several times, but it wasn't enough. So I could have gone straight along the hillside there, which is a slightly more direct route to Hollins Cross, but I decided just to pop down through these trees and then past Mam Farm, just because I fancied walking through the trees and seeing the farm. And then after that I'll be going up to Hollins Cross and then along the ridge. Oh, the sun's really come out now. And it's actually quite warm. Right, so I'm going to be heading left here towards Hollins Cross. So there's the old Mam Tor road we came up. And that viewpoint down there I think is called Hollins Cross. Across there is Kinder Scout, where we'll be going later. And this little hill that we're going up now, I think it's just called Barker Bank, or it might not even have a name.
Then after that we'll be going down the other side towards Lewes Hill. So straight ahead of us is Lewes Hill, or Ward's Piece. On the right you may be able to make out a little mound, which is, I've forgotten the name. So I'm now heading down from Lewes Hill Pike, or Ward's Piece, and just over there you can see the town of Hope, and we're going towards there for a little bit, but not all the way to it. We'll be turning off to head up the Hope Bank, where I may or may not be able to see down to Lake Edale Reservoir, depending on the trees. So I've now come off the open hill and through some trees, some boxes next to the path back there. So don't know who's missing them. And watch out, there's a commando about. Okay, I've come to this stile now, and I think I'll turn left down this track for a short distance. And yeah, it bends round to the right, and there'll be a sharp left, which I'll follow up past some farms, and for a few k, I think, until I get to the railway line, which I'll pass under in a tunnel, I believe. Oh, and Lewes Hill House as well. It's quite full. I wasn't expecting a hotel and spa to be so busy at the moment. I mean, there are quite a lot of cars there. So we've got to yet another set of holiday cottages, and this time I think we go left. There's a helpful sign saying please keep to the footpath, but there's no actual footpath sign anywhere. But anyway, looking at the map, the path goes to the left of those buildings, so I think it's this way. Oh, that is the most crap fence closing mechanism I've seen. I wonder what they keep in there that needs electric fencing. Rowdy children, by the looks of things. God, it's an unfriendly sign. No picnics, camping or litter. Dogs on leads at all time. I mean, obviously, dogs on leads is fine. No camping is fine. But no picnics. That's a bit stingy. and I think it's been I think it has been legally shown that you are allowed to have picnics on rights of way, so I don't think that sign's really really correct. Anyway, ooh, shooting area. I wonder what kind of shooting they do. Maybe it means you will be shot if you enter this area. That's the kind of vibe I get. So I've just walked past this, which is a rather interesting little enclosure. Looks like someone's private Christmas tree plantation or something. How odd. Also, I'm looking up at the sort of ridge up there, up Hope Bank, and it does look quite nice actually. So if I did this again, maybe I'd go down further towards Hope and then cut up there and go along that ridgeline a little bit and go past those sort of lonely standing trees. Anyway, I'm just walking along. We're nearly at the railway line crossing, I think, and if we look at there, that is Lewes Hill or Lewes Hill Pike, where I was earlier, I think. This style, and I think this signpost is incorrect because it's pointing off there for the footpath, but I don't think that's the way it goes according to the map. I think it's actually straight over here, and then yeah, down here, like yeah, that sign. That sign's pointing the right way. I mean, if they leave a sign like that, then people are just inadvertently going to, oh, a train. People are inadvertently going to trespass on the terribly private land, which would just be terrible. They might even have a picnic on the path, which isn't really a path. How am I going to get around this puddle? Oh well, good job my boots are waterproof, didn't go over the top. I realised just then I set off down the road the wrong way. I quickly turned around, and about 5 metres in the other direction was the footpath that I wanted. It's over yes, it's take me down here and then up through a farm, and then I could either go a sort of slightly more direct route to Kinder Scout, or I could head up onto the little ridge directly and walk along that for a little bit. And I think I'm going to do that because the views may be nice. Oh, nice little bridge. Right, I think this is where I turn right to go up onto the bank more directly and possibly get some nice views. I think we've got a permissive path on the left that goes on the left side of the wall, and a public footpath on the right that goes up next to the other side of the wall. Which one shall I take? Well, I'm going to take the permissive path because it looks more clear. So apparently this, I think it's this track in front of us, is the course of a Roman road, and it went, I think, all the way kind of diagonally down the hill to around there, I think. It's interesting to imagine Romans marching up here all those years ago. Anyway, I'm going to head up there to a tree line and then across. So I've now got to the edge of the trees, and as you can see, you can't really see down to the reservoir at all. But anyway, it's still quite a nice plantation, and but yeah. So I'm not going up there. I'm going along here and towards Kinder Scout. So I've come along the edge of the plantation behind the wall there, and I've now reached a point where I'll be diverging from the plantation and going up this hill for a bit, after which I'll take a left to head up towards Kinder Scout. But just here there's an interesting sort of old boundary stone. It says 1737 on it. It says, on this side it says Sheffield, there's Hope, Edale and Glossop, which you might not be able to see. Now this is a busy signpost. Public footpath to Edale, do not trespass, 1905. I'll keep going this way for about 300 metres and then bear left, so I can practice my pacing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just as it started to rain as well. 8, 9, 10. So this is the point where I turn off left, leaving the bridleway behind, and onto this path on access land up towards Kinder Scout. And it started raining lightly, so we'll see what happens there. But I'm expecting to get a bit more rain today, so it may get wet, which is a shame because I was hoping to have my lunch somewhere nice up there, maybe at Madwoman's stones. But we'll see what it's like. Just have to take a quick look behind me, and I can now see a little bit of Lakeville Reservoir just there. And you can also see these two rather interesting little hills over there. The one on the right is called Crook Hill. I think that's the only one that's got a name. And then the moorland behind that is Derwent Edge and the Derwent Moors, I think. And then round to the left, I think up there is the Howden Moors, and it looks great from over here. Sort of nice defined rocky edge, and looking forward to going walking around there one of these days. Well, hopefully sooner rather than later. Anyway, onwards. Hollins Cross. Well, it's nice, isn't it? This is an interesting feature, these two trees. That's quite nice, I think. But however many years ago someone planted those trees. So So just on a little bit of a pull up onto the Kinder Scout plateau now, and it is continuing to rain lightly, and there's a bit of a breeze when you're in an exposed location. So I was thinking about putting my coat on, but I'm still a bit warm coming uphill, so I'm not going to put it on now, although when I stop I definitely will, so I'll get cold quickly. So this is the way I've come up, and I'm now going to be taking this path towards Madwoman's stones, which I've not been to before and I'm hoping are interesting and worth visiting. Because over on the left is a path that just goes around the edge of Kinder Scout, and I'll be rejoining that after visiting the stones and hopefully having my lunch in a sheltered spot. Right, I think we're here at Madwoman's stones. Well, it is an interesting little rocky outcrop. Right, I'm going to go down here, it's a bit sheltered, and have my lunch. Finished my lunch now and it's time to get going. So I'm just retracing my steps a little bit so that I can do go along the south side, Kinder Scout. I did wonder about crossing over to the north side and then going back to the south via a trig point which I visited before, but thought I would take the opportunity to kind of do the whole length of the south side. So yeah, and as you can see, I'm staying in my coat for now, in case the rain comes back, and also just because I've stopped, I'll be a little bit chilly for a while. So anyway, on we go, and I'll try not to fall over in this rather slippy mud. Oh yeah, and there's a rainbow too, which is lovely. So I'm back on the path skirting the edge of Kinder Scout now, or one of the paths at this point. So I'm just going to carry on along here. So we can see it before, but I just thought I'd stop here because it's quite striking from this angle. You see that sort of flat-topped bit down there, it's called Nevermore. And yeah, it's quite striking how you can see how bits of the heather get cleared, I think every year, by gamekeepers, so that new shoots will grow, which the grouse like more, or can get more nutrition from, so they can artificially increase the number of grouse on the moor and make more money out of shooting. Just in case you're wondering why wider of those marks on them all. That's an interesting bit of machinery down there. It looks like some sort of mini mower or something. Anyway. So ahead of us, that lump is Grineslow Knoll, and then down to the left here, there's a little outcrop called Ringing Roger, which I've been to before. It's really nice. I'm not going to bother going there today. Walking along the south side of Kinderscout, and there's Grineslow Knoll over there, and I just passed someone else. He's the first person I've seen since coming up onto Kinderscout. Presumably everyone else is more sensible and has gone home before the rain started. Anyway, it's all character building being out in the rain, that's what it is. So over there is Grineslow Knoll, which I was going to go out to. However, given that the clouds come in, I won't really be able to see anything from the top. So I think I'm not going to bother, and I'm just going to keep going around on this path, which goes around Kinderscout. So I'll save that for a nicer day when I'll get a good view. This is what is usually the busy part, or one of the busy parts of Kinderscout, and I have now seen a few more people since that first guy. The most recent couple who asked me if that was Edale down there, so I said yes it was, and directed them to the nearest footpath down. So, but yeah, one of them was wearing a coat and the other one was not. And actually the last couple that I saw, I think the lady was wearing a coat but the gentleman was not. So I think there may be a couple of people have been caught out today, maybe because it was really nice earlier, and if you didn't look at the forecast you might not have realised that it would change later on. I'm sure they'll get down safely because it's quite a big path down from just back there. Now I know it might look kind of miserable at the moment, but I'm still actually quite enjoying this. There's just something quite nice about being out in the elements, and there's a grass just there. Being out in the elements and kind of feeling connected to nature and the natural world. So, yeah. I mean, it does help that I'm currently at a comfortable temperature and I'm not soaked to the skin. Because if I was freezing cold, I would not be enjoying being out here at the moment. But luckily I am. So. So I'm coming up to the wool packs now, and it's quite spooky how they're sort of gradually revealing, the rocks are gradually revealing themselves through the mist. Yeah. It's turned into a bit of a muddy maze up here with some really quite deep and sinky mud around. So doing my best to avoid that. Yes, like that. Oh, no. So as I went a little bit north to avoid some of the mud around the wool packs, I ended up getting a little bit too far north and ended up on the wrong path. So I've cut back across some of this rough ground now, and I'm making my way back in the direction of the path. But yeah, some of the mud around the wool packs was really quite deep. And here we are, here's the path. So I've now joined the Pennine Way, and it's still raining. I was hoping it might have stopped by now, but I think it might just be persistent now. And yeah, the temperature's dropped a little bit, so I've done up all my layers. And yeah, on we go. Okay, this is the point where the Pennine Way drops down into Edale, down there in the mist. I will be carrying on in this direction towards Brown Knoll and then Mam Tor in a car. So yeah. One other thing to mention is my left knee has started hurting a bit, which is a bit of a pain. I'm not sure why. It's a little bit windy and wet. Anyway, we're nearly at Brown Knoll now. So I've made it to Brown Knoll.
I'll dub over this bit due to wind noise. So I was now ready to head onwards to Lord's Seat, and after that my plan was to go up Mam Tor, but with time getting on, the weather closing in and my knee playing up, I was considering just going back to the car, which is what I did in the end. At this point, my footpath has arrived at a byway, which I'll follow for a short distance before turning off onto the bridleway that will take me to Lord's Seat. I've taken less video of this section, partly because the moor looks pretty samey in the mist, and also my GoPro has run out of battery. I do have a spare battery, but it's not possible to change batteries in the wet, unfortunately. The cloud has lifted a little bit, and I do have a bit of a view in some directions, but at this point I've pretty much decided I fancy going back to the car by the most direct route, rather than traipsing up Mam Tor. I'm on top of Lord's Seat now, and I can see Mam Tor in front of me, emerging out of the mist. However, as I said, I've decided not to go up there, partly because of the weather, and partly not to use my painful knee more than I have to. I'm sure I'll be back on a nicer day to visit Mam Tor again. Shortly after that last clip, my phone battery died too, so I don't have any pictures or video of the last bit of the walk. I made it back to the car without anything particularly interesting happening, and once there I dried myself out with the heater on full blast and had a bit of a rest before setting off for home. The weather carried on being pretty terrible all the way home. Overall, I did enjoy this walk. There were interesting things to see, and there was a nice contrast between the grassy Great Ridge and the peat and heather of Kinder Scout. Of course, the day would have been even better if the weather hadn't closed in, and if the muddy sections on Kinder had been just a tad drier, so I'll look forward to doing this walk again in better weather one day. In future, the one change I'd consider would be to add Win Hill, as it looks like an interesting little hill that might have some nice views. That would add about 4 kilometres to the distance though. This was a longish walk for me, but physically I was pleased with how I felt, other than my knee. The next day my knee felt fine, so initially I thought it had sorted itself out. Although unfortunately, despite being fine for short walks, it kept playing up after a couple of hours walking. I had to curtail my walking in the weeks afterwards to allow whatever it was to fix itself, and thankfully I've not had a recurrence since December, so hopefully it really is sorted by now. Thanks for watching, see you next time.